This show is part of the Head Stuff Podcast Network.
Alright. Dun, 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 dun. We are the cheeky girls. Alright. Dun, 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 dun. You are the cheeky boys. How you getting on? That's going to be my entrance music. If I ever was in a wrestling ring, it might actually happen now because I'm going to be doing comedy with Dolph Ziggler as this OTT comedy show, and might just drop the hint to them, being like, "Hey, just let you know, I can take a bump, right? I mean, I can't, but whatever. I don't mind being slammed on my back, right? And I'm good on the mic. I can make people hate me, right? I've told you time and time again, my wrestling gimmick, if I was ever a good guy, a baby face, would be body slams, national pride, all this kind of stuff, boot someone in the face, call it the dirty protest, right? Yeah, I have all this already written down, right? But I think the bad guy gimmick would be much stronger, which would just be, I don't even know what to name for him, but you might have seen me do him on stage before. It's just this guy comes out like a Union Jack hat, and he's like, "Southern Ireland, how are we doing?" And then everyone boos. And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm not surprised with that. I know you Irish love your booze." That kind of shit, I was getting the tram there earlier, and I had to walk from the different lines. There must have been a bloody Irishman building that tram. It's unfinished. They're bloody lazy, that kind of shit. Boo! I've just come from my favourite pub in Ireland, the Temple Bar. No, it would actually be, I've just come from my favourite pub, Weatherspoons. Yeah, had a wonderful time. That kind of shit. I've never been to Ireland before, but the flights were so fucking cheap. I thought me and all my mates would come, rock our St. George's Cross, and start fucking pissing on the cobblestones. That kind of shit. Get over there. Boo! And I know that would get heat. That means people would, gravitate towards it, either boo or cheer. Probably boo. Because we were watching the Euros there, England versus Switzerland. And it was crazy. It was the second day of a wedding. And there was a lot of Canadians there, and there was a couple of English people there. Of course, Jordan was there. The only sense of his national pride that ever comes out is when England are playing in a major tournament. Other than that, he's a self-hating Englishman. He's an Anglophobe, right? He's an Anglophile. No. What's worse, if you raise a son to be an Anglophile or a pedophile? No. Well, we'll get to that in a second. Not the pedo shit, but anyway, no. We were watching, and of course I knew why we were watching and why everyone was glued, because they wanted England to lose. There's 100 people in the pub watching this match. No Swiss pride, we remember what they did to the lads in Cool Runnings. You know what I mean? They wouldn't be up there in terms of national pride. Absolutely, what they did to the Jamaicans. But were they Swiss? Were they German? Doesn't matter. But look, it was 0-0 for a while. Switzerland score. The place fucking erupts. My friend Clem, who's English, was sitting next to me, and she wasn't even looking at the screen, right? And she goes, "Well, I guess we've scored." And she looked up and saw Switzerland had scored, and she couldn't believe that had been a reaction just in opposition of England, just in pure hatred of England. And the Canadian guy was sitting across from me, he said, "What the fuck?" And I was like, "I know." I'm like, "Oh my God, so I thought everyone was watching because they were supporting." He's like, no. And then England equalise, not peep, Apart from me and Terry, because there's English people who we know and we love around the table, And I'm willing to park this Irish nationalism for a second so that my friends, who I know better than Irish revolutionaries, I just happen to know them better, is the only thing. I just happen to know them better, right? Oh, I'm sure the last person is, but I mean, look, if fucking Mick Collins, he showed up to me in my sleep and was like, why were you cheering? I'd be like, "I'm sorry, I'm sorry." And then if I saw one of my English friends, I'd be like, "Actually, John, I'm not sorry." Do you know what I mean? So whoever, honestly, I'm not flippant, right? Whoever the last person to speak to me, I'm on your side, right? But I was cheering them because I felt bad for the English people who were sitting there, So I was like, "Whee!" Kind of quietly, but kind of said, "Whee!" And they could not believe, the Canadians and the English could not believe. And then Jordan was like, let's just check the score in the Ireland match. And then I was like, okay. Because there is no score. Because we didn't... I'm beginning to hate the Irish team as much as I No, that's not true. That's not true. I can't remember the last time I felt joy. I can, actually. It was the Euros. When was Brexit? It was the same day as Brexit. The same day as Brexit, Ireland beat Italy in the quarterfinals of the Euros. Was that what it was? Anyway, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So I know that this Southern Irish hating Englishman would definitely go over. I just need to figure out a better character. I can't just be coming out looking like the British equivalent of fucking Carols, wearing all the garb, you know. Maybe a Farage type. A Farage type would be good, you know. I tell you don't even need to worry about the border. All you need to do is put a sign up there, a wall and a door that says pull, and the Irish are bloody push. They're so bloody daft. Yeah, any good? I think it's pretty strong. I told you I was acting in this show, Good Boy, which is wrapped filming. And that's why I'm here. I'm back, baby. It's wrapped filming. And I had a wonderful time. But I said on a previous podcast on the bonus feed that I was working with this English guy on one of the scenes. Very, very funny dude. We were making some jokes because his character had to say some kind of Irishisms, right? But in a kind of thick English accent. And I just kept making jokes being like, I bet you're all used to this slagging the paddies, you know. And he was like, paddies? Oh, Jesus, mate. No. And we kept making like dumb kind of Irish jokes and stuff. Like that wouldn't even raise a hair. It wouldn't flutter your tummy. It wouldn't even skip a heartbeat. But he was all like, oh, mate. Oh, and he felt really, I was making him a bit uncomfortable, I think. And I was like, firstly, I fucking love you, bro, because if you're this uncomfortable about racist Irish jokes, do you know what I mean? I love this. I love this for us. I love that you're so sweet. But I also really understand it. And I was like, oh my God, I'm for a change, like in this kind of like I'm a white, straight, cis man. Do you know what I mean? But I felt like, oh my God, am I kind of a minority that other people could slag? You know what I mean? Not that I'm like leaping towards that, but it felt weird. And I was kind of like, oh, I love you because I'm making you uncomfortable with these. It just felt, you know what I mean? It felt weird that I was making kind of, it's almost like I was saying culturally inappropriate stuff, but I was allowed to. It was really weird, and I had such a good time. And I really liked him even more because I could tell like, oh, he wouldn't really tolerate that from anyone if it was said in his circle, you know. Not that there's that to say. Not that you got nothing on us. You got nothing on us, Irish. Maybe you do. I don't know. I mean, I wish the stereotypes were like, you know, those bloody Irish, they can't finish a fucking hospital. You can't even finish an hospital. You keep hiring unelected. Well, you know, it's probably the same in the UK. Not anymore. You know, Keir Starmer. I don't know. I don't fucking know about this shit. But good to see the Tories are out, I guess. I think so. You know, although I saw someone who's fairly, you know, left-wing on my feed being like, bittersweet day for us today. And I'm like, I don't fucking know what anything means. Walking up, you know, Tories are out and they got bittersweet. And I'm like, I don't even want to know. I don't even want to know. Can we not just have really simple, this good, everyone happy, this bad, no one very liking very much, you know? There's too much fucking nuance and I don't care to find out about it. But anyway, what else has been going on? Had this funny thing. Terry's very conscious of, and rightfully so, you know, Sonny's gotten mad into Star Wars right now. At a very bad time, I have to say. It is not the heyday, you know, and I don't really want to talk about Star Wars a lot. But we got this like little Star Wars Lego set. I pulled out all my little Lego minifigs from my Millennium Falcon that I have. And he's like, who is this? I'm like, it's Chewbacca. And he's like, I'm like carrying it everywhere. And then Chewbacca has this little crossbow that shoots out literally the smallest piece of Lego that they make. And once it fires, it's like, that's gone. And the projectile and this tiny crossbow. And he has us looking for this fucking tiny little Lego piece that's a bullet. I'd say about 8 hours a day. 8 hours a day we're looking for this fucking thing. I want to glue it. I want to glue it shut, right? But anyway, he's mad at Star Wars at the moment, which is a very bad time for it. Can you believe? You might not give a shit about this, but hey, the very first podcast that I ever did here was me basically reviewing a Star Wars trailer, right? So bear with me a second here. this new show, The Acolyte, I haven't watched it, right? Some people have told me it's not bad. Other people have told me it's dog shit. I watched the first bit of it. I'm like, I don't really like this. I'm not really feeling this, you know. But I've already told you Star Wars is dead, and Marvel's kind of dead, because I went to Smith's, right, to pick up some toys for my niece, and the Star Wars like section of actual figures you can play with was like limited to like one rung of an aisle, right? Back in my day, that were all aisle of Star Wars. Now Lego's a different story, but Star Wars. And then in terms of like the figures for your Marvels, you know, it's still the end games. It's still the end game crew. It's still the people whose contracts have expired. Your Iron Men, right? Your Captain Americas, your Thors. I don't even know if his contract's still going. But just saying that in the last 5 years, there has not been a new figure to actually put up on that shelf that a kid would want to buy. I went to the Disney store, you know, the one on Grafton Street. Top half is all the Disney princess and all the tradition, you know, you got your Pixar's, you got your Disney animation. The whole bottom floor is Marvel and Star Wars. Not a fucking kid in the kip. Not a kid in the kip. They didn't give a shit. If you're working at the Disney store and your shift is downstairs, the air conditioned fucking Star Wars Marvel, you're having a fucking great day. You might even invite some mates over, right? Have a fucking session down there. There's lads going into the Disney store downstairs with a fucking bag of cans on each wrist because they're just sessioning in there because there's no fucker in the kip. So like, hey, I might not have my ear to the streets in terms of the political climate and what people are after, right? But I have my ear to the streets of fandom, right? And this is done. It's done. The Acolyte, this new Disney Star Wars show, was like the 5th suggested thing on the Disney Plus. A new Star Wars piece of property. Just shows how could they do this? How could they do this? It is so. I mean, it was maybe the intention the whole time. And look, it's still fucking huge. My young fella's still mad into it. But Terry's resistant to me actually showing him a Star Wars movie. Even though I've told her that Princess Leia is, you know, subverts your expectations of a damsel in distress. She knows this. She idolizes Carrie Fisher. She loves her, right? Well, she idolizes her, right? But she's got as much respect. She's got the appropriate amount of respect for Carrie Fisher as she's due, okay? But she's like, I still don't want him, because there's not, and I get it, right? Carrie Fisher, even in that role, had to lose fucking 10 pounds, even though she was wafer thin, right? She was there emaciating herself to even be in it in the first place. There's not a lot of things that have aged or are appropriate or kind of getting that level of diversity and inclusion. So I do understand that, right? So she's conscious of all this. She's conscious of superhero body types. And I totally get that, you know? There's other avenues you can kind of show. I'd like my young fella not to view boys as this one thing and girls to be viewed as this other thing. You know, whether they're damsels or they're just smart. You got this Ninjago book of like, you know, ninjas or whatever, what have you. Quick pivot. I know I've said this time and time again, but Viggo Mortensen, Aragorn from Lord of the Rings, gave an interview that was on the special features of the Two Towers DVD, Lord of the Rings Two Towers, promoting the new Lord of the Rings Two Towers video game. And he goes, and this shows how little he gives a shit of this whole world, and he's only focusing on his performance. But he's like, and you can play as me, Aragorn, and fight your ninjas or whatever. Fucking ninjas or whatever. Makes me laugh so much. Anyway, there's this Ninjago book, right? The Lego ninjas. Each of the boys has their own kind of archetype. One's brave, one's really good at music, one tries to wisecrack, but they're a robot and doesn't always land. One is really good at making machines, all this stuff. And then the girl, it says one line, she's my best student. That's it. I'd love to at some point make like an animated show about like young, like kids, girls who are just goofy. It isn't my place to say that or story to tell, but maybe I'd like to facilitate someone else to tell that story at some point. Just to have some sort of icons. Why aren't there any Jim Carrey, you know, well, Kate McKinnon, you know, but I'd love if there was more Jim Carrey fucking goofballs up there for girls up on the echelon of being, you know. Anyway, I understand all that, right? So I understand where Terry's come from, and I agree. Would love, though, would benefit me more if I could just like hand the children something that is like, that's more like it. This is more, you know, inclusive and diverse with different body types and different character types that are not just. Beforehand, it was like girls are ditzy and girls do what the boys say. That was what you had in your IP, right? And then it became girls are like smart. Oh yeah, well let's lean into that. Girls are smart. No, it's not bad. It's just, but it's still fucking stereotyping. And then still, now your worth is what? Either you're attractive or you're smart. Fuck that shit, right? Anyway, I was trying to say something fucking funny ages ago. Gary's fucking sneaking in here because I haven't done this in a month, right? Anyway, because Terry's trying to like inject some inclusivity, we were playing with the Legos, right? Little Lego figs. And I was playing with C-3PO. And Terry just seemed to clock that there was no girls that we were playing with. And she goes, C-3PO's gay. I'm like, what? Like, I know he is, but like, what are you doing? And she goes, yeah, he's gay. And suddenly looks there, I was like, what? He likes boy robots. He's a boy, and he likes boy robots. And I'm like, I get what you're doing here, Terry. But this is not the most tactful, like, introduction of inclusivity and diversity that we have had, that we could do. I mean, if we want to sit down with the young fella and explain exactly how that would work, C-3PO, is a bottom droid, okay? And what that means is, can I talk to you about the equality referendum because of this Lego boy, right? We're very good for, like, if they're talking about relationships in general, we talk about, could be two boys, could be two girls, could be a boy and a girl, could be two people who are both or neither, all that good shit. It's a mouthful, but hey, I believe in raising a woke son. I raise my family in the woke way. Anyway, what am I talking about? Yeah, I just thought that was so funny. C-3PO's gay. And he likes boy robots. He's a boy, he likes boy robots. I'm like, okay. How's that anything to do with turning off the tractor beam and the Death Star? Because that's what we're kind of zone we're in right now. Love this, though. Love this for us, okay? I definitely think, yeah, but right now, the character types, he's just looking at like little Lego faces. But I commend my wife for always trying to keep it in there. But yeah, it's a bit annoying though. He's so obsessed with Star Wars because I couldn't be fucked really talking about it at the moment. As I'm sure you can tell, my only company in the last month has been the cast and crew of the show and my wife and kids. So pardon me if I don't know what's going on or I have no other references other than what my kids are into, okay? Hey, leave it, mate. Gary, you wouldn't treat a dog like this, okay? But what else has been going on? Oh, I'm still big into my DIY right now. Most recent DIY thing I did was I put a Kallax in the wardrobe. Might not sound like a big job, but it was a big fucking job. It was a big job. I ran down the stairs like a giddy schoolboy to Terry, and I was like, I've done the measurements, and that Kallax we've been trying to get rid of will fit perfectly in their wardrobe. We can just fill it full of fucking little Kallax drawers. This is the IKEA square little unit. I'm like, it's going to fit perfectly. Maybe 2 centimeters either side. And she goes, have you measured it properly? And I'm like, yes. Nope. Put my arms out, made them as rigid as I could, width-wise, there we are, ran down the stairs, went up to the Kallax, and it fit perfectly. Right? So I was like, I'm 100% sure. She's like, have you measured it? And I'm like, yes. Right? I need to lie to you, and I'll tell you why. And I'll tell you why, because you're going to tell me I can't do it if you hear the truth, which is it won't fit. All right? So we were at a wedding, and the next day, as you are, you're a bit hungover, and I thought, right, this is my time here to do this. My wife's vulnerable, and I don't think she can stop me. So I started taking her out of the wardrobe, and I had to take the fucking doors off. And let me tell you, I mean, I've already said this before, but it's like fucking Takeshi's Castle, trying to do a job that has like screws. Kids running around being like, what can I eat? I've taken iron bars out of the wardrobe for the rail. They're fucking whacking each other with it. And I'm like, I'm trying to ignore them, right? But then they start crying because they whack each other with an iron bar. I'm like, all right. And then it's like, can I have the screw? No way. No way. Because I know exactly what you're going to do with it, right? You're either going to stab someone or eat it. What else would you do with a screw? Or wave it around? Like, I don't know. Like a claw, like little Wolverine claws, right? There's nothing. It's pointy for a reason because it goes in something. That's the whole point of a screw, right? Took the doors off. Terry was lying there in the bed watching this whole thing, very vulnerable, right? and then took all the doors off. Slot fucking perfect. Like, I mean, you watch Oddly Satisfying videos, it made like a sound. It fit perfectly. And then, the dopamine had kind of worn off that task. So I was kind of like, I have to put the fucking doors back on this and fill it up with all the kids' clothes, which was a bit annoying. Did it anyway. But what it also gave me was a lot of scrap wood from inside there that I'm going to drill on my door. I had no plan for this fucking soundproof door. I'm still shining on about this shit. Got a shed door. I need to just make it as thick as I can. And I'm just going to fucking drill some wood on it, see what happens. Then wrap it in some fucking rubber. I don't know. I'll figure it out though. I just cannot wait to use my jigsaw. Would you like to play a game? It's called Don't Lose Your Fingers. I got a jigsaw that Arnold Schwarzenegger gave to me after we wrapped shooting on our ad together. Well, obviously I got paid from the voice agency who got paid from the client, Lidl, who would have been paid probably in some way down the line or in some capacity with the Parkside Arnold Schwarzenegger. He bought me this jigsaw, which I paid for with the money that I got from him. So I cannot wait to start fucking cutting this bisque. This is so dumb. It's so boring. This is so boring. Let me tell you about grass, right? Grass is a little fucking pussy, right? Not pussy, right? I respect pussies, right? So it's a little dweeb, right? Kids are always throwing shit around the garden, right? You leave an upturned plastic plate on the grass for the day, it dies. It dies. You take off the plate and it's fucking like white. The grass is white. Like, pathetic. We keep acting like, the rewilding and all this shit, and if we, if humanity were to cease and the rewilding, the real Last of Us shit, all grass growing over all cinder blocks and all that shit, it would in my fucking hoop. It's pathetic. If a child's plate can kill it, what's a clicker gonna do, right? Don't be giving me that shite. It's embarrassing, to be honest. Put our table out there. Grass isn't getting enough light. Let me tell you, we got this fucking pigeon. We're putting out grass seeds. This pigeon is like, here we fucking go. This is like those lulas over the garden are after throwing a load of fucking chips on the ground. That's what he thinks. He's coming eating every fucking seed, and he's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. I've seen him. He came when he first arrived. He's a little scrawny little yoke. Now he's massive. He's absolutely busting out. He actually looks delicious. He actually looks tasty. I want to eat him now. And I've plumped him up myself. I know what his diet is. It's my grass seeds, right? So even in the patches that I'm trying to regrow, this fucker's coming along, and he's like, oh, don't mind if I do. Don't mind if I do. So I wonder if I could catch a pigeon. I wonder, some of them I think you'd be sooner off catching them. They have better reflexes than I do. I think they can kind of see in slow motion. If I had my hand out, or I had like some, bits of porridge oats or whatever around my feet, they come as far as my feet, and they do that thing where they go back and they back out. They're smart like that. How do they know I want to pick them up? How do they know that? Because I do. I think someone told me that they all have fleas, and that's going to turn me off. If anyone can clarify whether pigeons are actually that dirty, because if they're not, I'm not going to be cruel around, but I'm going to pick one up. I'm going to catch one. That is on my... I just realised it's on my bucket list. I've always been looking at one, being like, I wonder if I could just catch one. I'll let it go straight away, I swear to God. I'm not going to do onto it. Apart from this one that's in my backyard. But he looks like a kind of like easily spooked one. Not one that like frequents a park that's used to like, oh, I guess it's feeding time. I'll come close to these humans because I'm only getting a bit of grub, The juice is worth the squeeze. But I am out of the loop. As you can tell, all I've been doing is hanging out with the kids and going to the park. Right, whatever. I'm going to start ingesting. This is my week of ingesting media. I'm going to know what's going on. I'm going to stay informed. I'm going to get back on social media, probably back on Twitter, X formerly Twitter, see what's going on, see what people are talking about. Been watching The Boys, been enjoying that. I've always liked Frenchie, the character, but I honestly think you could probably pluck him out a whole show, not even this season, the whole show, and you might have a better show, I just feel like I'm watching it and I'm like, Where's Butcher? Where's Poochie? I feel like it should have not just been Butcher's show. I don't think you can get enough Carl Urban being a fucking cockney bastard saying cunt all the time. Personally, Imho, Butcher, Homelander. Cannot believe that Anthony Starr, who plays Homelander, has not even been nominated for an Emmy for his performance as that. There was a second last episode I watched there where he kind of goes home to where he was raised, right? In the lab. And it's one of the, I mean, it's a fucking tour de force performance. He is probably, regardless of what you say is with the show, wouldn't be an A tier show for me. Really enjoy it. Very strong B, right? But his performance, I think you got to put up there with Heath Ledger in the Mount Rushmore of villainous performances. Certainly maybe the best TV villain that's ever been on TV. Maybe Giancarlo Esposito as Gus Fring would be up there as well. Who else? TV villains. I did think your man David Tennant and Jessica Jones, even though fell off with that show, but he was incredible villain in that. TV villains. Would you be putting Cersei Lannister up there? Would you be putting fucking Joffrey up there? Would you be putting my boy Jack Gleeson up there? There's an argument for it. Would you be putting Joey Pants as Ralphie from The Sopranos up there? Would you put Tony himself up there? I mean, would you be putting Idris Elba up there? You might have to. Stringer Bell. Different type of performance. But I think you got a nice variety there. Got a nice variety there with Anthony Starr as Homelander. You got Joffrey, Jack Gleeson, Idris Elba, that kind of contemplative, quiet, meticulous. Giancarlo Esposito as Gus, Breaking Bad. Do you know what? Actually, I would say out of all of the Game of Thrones villains, I think Michael McElhatton, Ole 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 as Roose Bolton, is probably my favorite. Is probably my favorite villain performance in the whole show. Because I feel like when you get into your man, Ramsay Bolton, it's too much and to one note. He's crazy, good for him, that's cool, good for you. Incredible performance, could never do it myself. But Roose Bolton, that kind of like, keep your friends close, the heel turn, the Lannister send their regards, how he treats his son. There's something so consistent with it that seems like a brand new character. I mean, Charles Dance as what's his face? As Lannister. No, it's got to be Michael McElhatton. Right, here we are. Homelander, Roose Bolton, who else did I say? Schillinger from Oz. You have to probably move them over. You don't want two bald lads sitting next to each other, right? But maybe bald lads at the end. So you got Schillinger and Roose Bolton at either side. You got Homelander. And then Gus Fring. There you are. That's the Mount Rushmore TV villains, and I feel like you got a nice bit of variety in there. Actually, I don't think you do. They're all kind of the same. But that's what I like, and that's what I'm sticking with. But Anthony Starr, not even to be celebrated. Because what? Because the show also features fucking cock strangulation and like people climbing inside vaginas, small people and people exploding. And there being like seven scenes an episode of someone exploding in a pile of pulped yams. But anyway, look, I am going to experience things. So I have some reference points. I'll be talking a lot more about the show when it comes out. But I don't want to, spill any details that I can. It's mad, isn't it? So, Also, you weren't there. Like, you're not going to find it as interesting. Do you know what I mean? So let me experience some actual life. I'll be back on Friday with the bonus Camwell Shit Show. Me and Shane also did a podcast for the Young Hot Guys that's coming out, and we're being rejoined, the trio with Killian as of next week. Thank you very much for listening to this, though. I love you, and bye-bye.
This show is part of the Head Stuff Podcast Network, a hub for the creative and the curious. Shows are produced in association with Head Stuff and the Podcast Studios Dublin. Find out more or become a member at headstuffpodcasts.com.